am really excited to chat to our next guest, the Wholesome Doctor. Dr. Priya Alexander is a GP and a mum of two who advocates for a healthy yet realistic lifestyle and promotes preventative medicine. Here to share some of her pearls of wisdom is Dr. Priya.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you on.
I'm excited to have a chat to you today. This is an awesome idea, so I've been looking forward to this.
Great. Now, I love everything about what the Wholesome Doctor stands for. Can you tell us a bit about how you came up with this concept and why is it so important?
So I came up with this concept in 2016, which seems like a completely different world and lifetime ago. But I came up with the concept because I was essentially kind of quite exhausted by the amount of health misinformation I was seeing on social media. And I think, people watching can probably, relate to that. You kind of see a lot of health myths being widely spread. And so in 2016, I thought enough is enough. And I thought I'm going to get out there and kind of try and combat that misinformation and try and improve health literacy in a fun and engaging manner. And so that's how the Wholesome Doctor was born, my Instagram and my blog. And it's kind of taken on a life of its own now. It's taken a good 4 years of hard work, but yeah, it's hopefully finally getting somewhere.
That is such a wonderful idea, Priya, and I'm so glad that you're doing this. Now, let's just jump straight into it. Introducing solids is such a massive part of children's and parents' lives. There is so much information out there, like you just alluded to, and obviously different things work for different families. But what is your general approach to introducing solids?
Yeah, I think general approach is probably the right term there, because I think it's important to say to parents there's not one single right and best way to do solids. And I think that's what kind of, freaks out particularly first-time parents, where they think, oh my goodness, there's a rule book and I need to follow it. Look, there are some rules, no whole nuts for infants because of the choke risk, making sure when you introduce things like egg, making sure they're cooked through so that you reduce the risk of things like salmonella. But, I say to my patients, a lot of it is actually quite grey, and you can choose how you want to take your child and your family on this journey. So the first thing is with introducing solids is, when to start. And so the guidelines generally recommend now, 4 to 6 months, usually around 6 months. And, the recommendation is basically wait till your infant is ready. And I say to parents, don't start competing with the other parents in the parents group or the virtual parents group, which might be happening now. Don't compete with friends. Don't listen to other people when they said they started solids. Read your infant. And there are signs of readiness for starting solids. And it's things like, kids need to have good head control. They need to, be quite interested in food, either watching you eat or suddenly spontaneously opening their mouth to a spoon. So you really want to look for those signs of readiness. And then you want to basically start the journey. And I think people are quite reluctant. They kind of don't know where to start. Do we start with the baby rice cereal? Do you start with avocado? Do you start with mashed banana? Truth is, it probably doesn't actually matter as long as you start. And I think some people are so cautious and reluctant that they don't actually start. And then we know the consequences of that, Nalu, which is things like iron deficiency, because you don't start getting iron through the diet. But, I say to patients, choose something you feel safe with. And as long as you're starting, you're doing the right thing. And then I talk about, introducing allergy foods, introducing iron-rich foods, and how to kind of do that.
Oh, that's all fantastic advice. We'll just reiterate that allergy foods before 12 months is the recommendation, which we are both very passionate about.
We absolutely are. And I think it's important to say to people, it's okay to be nervous before you introduce the allergy foods, which is stuff like, peanut, tree nuts, cow's milk, egg. There are others. But, people kind of go, oh, I know those foods can often cause allergy. And so they're kind of, reluctant to introduce them. And we know that actually delaying the introduction of those foods can increase the risk of food allergy. So get them in before 12 months. And once you start them, please keep giving them, because, just doing them once and seeing no allergic reaction isn't enough. You've got to keep them in the child's diet to reduce the risk of food allergy.
Oh, that's fantastic advice, Priya. Now, as a GP, what are some of the common foods or food-related issues that you see parents come in with?
GPs are kind of the front line for the kind of, everyday food stuff that parents and families are battling at home. And so the common things I tend to see are fussy eating, big one. So, kids who will literally not touch certain colours, who will just want to eat plain pasta. There is a spectrum of fussy eating. There is what I call kind of, the everyday fussy eaters. And then you can get kind of with autism spectrum disorder, some really, rigid food behaviours and not liking certain sauces or liking things being mixed in colours and things. And so, paediatricians, dietitians, are heavily involved there. I see a lot of constipated kids, which is often very much, dietary related. When you actually go into how much fluid and water is the child drinking, how much fibre is going into the diet, it's usually a big dietary component there. And I see, kids with nutritional deficiencies. So, iron deficiency would be one of the most common ones, and that's often, dietary related, which, can often be there's too much cow's milk going in after 12 months of age, or there's simply not enough iron going into the diet. So those are the common things I tend to see when it comes to kids and diet.
Gosh, they're all really important things. And I guess there must be so many parents out there who are just feeling at a loss, because getting food into kids can be really tricky. And I've actually have just received your book, The Rainbow Plate, which I ordered online. This is such a fun way to not just get kids talking or thinking about fruit and veggies, but to get them actually enjoying it and wanting to eat it, which I think is really amazing. So hats off to you for that. Love it.
Thank you. And I think it's important to say to people, Nilu, that it's okay for mealtime to not be easy. I've written that kids book. I'm constantly talking about getting veggies and fruit into kids, on my social media. My kid eats really well, both of them do, but please know that I have tough days where I go, you need to eat the kind of the sauce of the pasta, or you need to eat some of the rainbows. So I have tough moments too. Please don't think it's a walk in the park. But, the book is basically a way that I've made it fun, because I know from experience as a parent and as a GP, when you say to your kid, you need to eat all the carrots and all the peas before you have anything else, it can be a battle. So it's worked with patients and it's worked with my kids. So, yeah, fingers crossed it works with yours.
Yes, I can't wait to read this to my little along those lines, apart from what you've just discussed, is there any other advice you can give to parents who might be struggling to get food into their kids?
Number one, role model. Kids ideally need to be eating the same stuff as parents. It's no good you saying to them, you need to eat the veggie pack stir fry, but I'm going to have the pepperoni pizza. That's not kind of fair. So, we do mealtime together as a family. So I eat at 5 p.m. It's the best thing ever with the children. I eat the same thing. And so it's simple role modeling. And the other thing is involving your kids in mealtime, in food prep if you can. My daughter is involved in every step of prepping meals if I have the patience to have her in the kitchen with me. But it just means that she's part of the process. And then when the meal comes out, she goes, I stirred these rainbows in, and I was the one who put the carrots into the meal. Make it less about you need to eat this, but more about who can get the most rainbows into the pita pocket. Let them have fun and feel the food and play with the food, and taking the kind of pressure out of mealtime and you need to get this in. It has been a really helpful tip with a lot of my patients.
I really love that you're making mealtime more about the experience rather than getting the actual food in. And I think that's the key. It's actually the key with a lot of parenting and things with children, isn't it? So where can we find you if anyone's interested to follow The Wholesome Doctor?
So I'm at The Wholesome Doctor on Instagram, which is where I tend to do all my kind of, sharing my recipes and everyday life and health tidbits. And I have a blog associated with that. And you can also get the book from the link on The Wholesome Doctor.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Priya. And thanks for all of your advice.
Thanks, Nilu.